Hi, take two. This is Steve Gillmor. This is the Gillmor Gang. It's the day after the iPhone, or actually it's the day that we all ordered our iPhones, and we'll find out who on this call did. I know one person who didn't, maybe two. And then there's Scoble, which is probably, he's got maybe 3 or 4 of them that he ordered. Okay, welcome, Robert Scoble. What do you think? Did you buy any?
Verizon locked me out, so I will have to do it the old-fashioned way and wait in line.
What do you mean they locked you out? What does that mean?
I forgot my password for some reason. I don't know. And I tried it a couple different ways, and it locked me out and said I had to call tech support, and tech support wasn't online last night, so I didn't get one.
Wow.
Heresy.
Well, we'll just have to go back to the picture of you on the first iPhone coming out of the store, right?
Yeah, we could do that.
And handing it to Dave Weiner.
Well, we got Dave. Yeah, I got you one and Dave Weiner one. But anyways, this is turning into a block party again. Since I do have to wait in line, I figure I'm going to have some wine and some fun. So Naked Wines is going to show up and hand out some wine. We're going to have a wine tasting in line at the Paul Walton store, of course, on University Avenue.
The chuckle is from Kevin Marks. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi there.
Where are you?
I'm up in Portland at the XOXO festival, which is some interesting hybrid of web and design and craft and stuff. Very interesting.
Do they have?
Just started today.
Do they have iPhones up there?
They have had iPhones up there, but I think all the people from San Francisco have been buying them here to save the sales tax, so they're probably out of stock by now.
Okay, and I assume you haven't gotten one yet.
No.
Do you have an iPhone?
Planning on either. Nope. I have an iPod Touch. I may get a new iPod Touch this shape to see what it's like, but I haven't got an iPhone. No.
The new iPod Touches are really nice. They're really thin and have a real nice anodized aluminum back. It's pretty cool feeling.
Yeah,
we should get you one as a gift because it's $200.
Is that all it is? $200
for an iPod Touch? Sure.
With how much hard drive or whatever they?
16 gigs, but
yeah, they had $100 for each extra 16 gigs or something, didn't they?
Is it solid state or?
It's always solid state now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and joining us from his fortress of ineptitude is John Toshek.
Am I at your house again? Hello.
Could
Steve.
be.
I am in the fortress of solitude today.
Yes, and
as you can see by the lead line cave.
And you don't care about the iPhone 5 either, right?
No, I could care less about it at this point. But I'm looking forward to the iPhone 6.
I don't know what that means. All right, so
there's
Scoble,
nothing exciting about it.
So am I the only one who actually has had my hands on one of these?
Yes. Yeah. I, however, I'm the only one who has actually ordered one, and it's coming.
It feels like a fine Swiss watch. It's lighter and all that fun stuff. I mean, all the hype is out there. It's lighter, thinner, longer, has better microphones, has better Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera. So what else can we talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I thought you were going to have some outrageous things to say about it.
Yeah, this is not an innovative Apple. It's not an innovative. It's
what are you talking about? It's not
there's
innovative.
There's nothing new in this damn phone. There's nothing dramatic, different. Okay, maps, maybe. I really have to stretch to come up with something innovative. I mean, Gruber wrote 2,000 words, and I think he had to really pull out his best. Creative writing to find something innovative about this iPhone.
Yeah,
but
that's why they've sold out. That's why they've sold out.
Because, hey, iPhone is still the best on the market. And I'll couch that. It's the best ecosystem on the market, and it's the best app system on the market. And if you listen to my interview with Dave Marin that I did at the Apple event, he explained why. Path, he's the CEO of Path. Path is on Android and iPhone, but 70% of his users are on iPhone. The world of app developers are continuing to support iPhone first, with one big exception, and that's if you're building contextual apps. But most apps companies are building for iOS first. I was at Facebook yesterday and talked with their mobile teams, and they're building for iOS as a premier experience, and they're going to make sure that the iOS customer has the best possible experience and better experience than anybody else in the marketplace. And on and on. So when you look at the Apple ecosystem, and the reason you want to keep up to date, absolutely, it's faster. It has more pixels, so you can get another row of apps on it. It's fast. Faster Wi-Fi, faster. The LTE is faster on it. It's a better phone all the way around. The audio quality is going to be better because the speakers are better, the microphone is better, and they have this new wideband thing that works not on anything in the United States, but on some carriers, and hopefully on carriers in the United States soon. So and it feels better in your hand, obviously. But let's take it out of the geeky world and go to the normal world. My friends who are in the normal world, who are not early adopters, they are excited.
Where do you keep those friends? Do you have them in a room somewhere?
They're usually friends of mine.
They're on a Facebook list that Scoble manages.
I do have. Yeah, they're called
normal people.
It's called family. It's people, it's usually Miriam's friends who are not so techie, so early adopter. They don't listen to the Gillmor Gang. They don't even know what the Gillmor Gang is. And these
do you? I don't know what it means.
It's what I do on Friday afternoon.
It's the Apple Store.
Yeah, but they're excited about this phone. They've been holding off purchases for 6 months because they knew this was coming, and that's why it's sold out. It's because of those people, the early adopters, and the geeky guys. We're starting to look at the system and
wrong.
Totally
wrong.
I am still lusting over a Samsung Galaxy Note.
Good luck. Have fun.
Well, it does more.
Who cares? It doesn't do more.
It does do more.
What does it do?
It does
NFC? Does it do NFC?
There are a range of apps I saw at TechCrunch Disrupt this week that are only going to be shipping on Android because they can talk to the dialer, they can do things, they can talk to the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth radios, they can study the world in a way that an app developer can't study on iPhone. But I'm going to have both. I'm still an Apple fan. Shoot me.
Right.
I'm an Apple fan.
What time did you log on to try and order yours?
Midnight.
12:01 or 12?
Actually, it was about 12:38, but
okay.
I took a little nap and I fell asleep.
All right, John Toshek, you weigh in. We'll get back to Scoble and his.
It's sold out in an hour, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I got in before the hour was up, but then Verizon said, "Oh, you can't buy. You can't even see if you can buy one because you don't have your password." And then I started trying to figure out my password, and I was like, "I don't even know what password I use." I used a weird password because I couldn't use my normal password on Verizon. Now I have to call and.
You'll have to have a Facebook list for passwords.
No, I don't know what password I use. I think my wife set up the account, and I wasn't about to wake her up at 1 a.m.
All right, John Toshek, what do you think?
I think this is I think it's it's going to help the U.S. economy. Mm-hmm. I think the selling out is great. It was a great business decision to create just enough to make sure that it sold out based on Apple's knowledge of the supply chain. I think as a phone, who cares? That it's not that great. Who cares if it's thinner? Everyone's going to put a case around it anyway. I think that connector thing is really not a good thing. Because there's so many systems. You go to hotel rooms, they have a certain connector, doesn't allow audio out. There's all sorts of things that just piss me off about it. And so I think that it's a really useful device in order to set up the next iPhone, which will be phenomenal because they'll learn from, this reaction that's out there now and make it a much, much better phone. And coupled with what Scoble said about the ecosystem, which is the imperative here, is that you have to have that ecosystem to drive it. So it just shows Apple's power of the ecosystem that this phone is so successful. already, even though it's just just today it's coming out, right? Just being ordered, and it's met with it's like a Michael Bay film. It's like Transformers. He can release a film and they know it's going to sell $200 million of tickets, and it's not that good, but people will still go in line, wait in line for the next one.
Okay.
John?
Hang on. I want to get Kevin Marks in with his attitude about this.
Well, it's a competent upgrade. It looks like a very nice device. Better speakers and microphones is a good thing. If that can encourage people to put better microphones in these devices, that's good. That's usually something people skimp on. So that stuff makes sense. I haven't touched one or seen one yet, but it seems like a reasonable upgrade. But it's not going to make me run out and switch from Android. So, but I may not be represented. The thing that surprised me is that where was the tablet this shape? That's the piece we're missing. That's what we were expecting them to announce, this iPad Mini, and that didn't show up.
No,
isn't that next month?
If you've been following Gruber or any of the Apple insiders who have a relationship with the PR team, you knew that that was not coming this time. The Mini iPad is going to come in a second event in about a month, and they did not want to mess with the marketing of this iPhone. The iPhone is still the most important product Apple has by far. They sell way more iPhones than they do iPads. They did not want to touch the announcement of this. They had satellite trucks lined up down Mission Street. 6 times more satellite trucks than I've ever seen for any other company announcement, including Mark Zuckerberg, who came out at TechCrunch Disrupt and got a lot of press there. This is the number one product in the world. It's going to sell in the first week more than any other product has ever sold. And they did not want to mess with that. Apple's PR thing is a machine, a well-oiled machine, and they're going to do it very specifically to do very specific things with their announcements. The Mini iPad deserves its own separate announcement where they can take the time to explain why they need to do a Mini iPod and get people hyped up about that.
Kevin, send video, please.
Okay, my badly just dropped out. Hold on.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
One thing, Steve, I wanted to come back to John's mention about the new connector. I'm mixed on the connector. I mean, I have multiple $100s of power supplies, and I have a speaker system back there that uses the old connector. So I hear them, but the new connector is much better designed than the old one. It brings Apple into the modern age in terms of connectors. Gruber wrote about this, and why didn't they go with the USB Mini like every other device in the world? It's Apple. Apple wants to control everything, and I understand.
It's
what
not
they're
so much
doing,
the
but
connector. I think is the problem.
It's the connector's more water resistant. It's more durable. It's smaller. It's thinner.
And it's going to work great on this 7-inch when they release that. I mean,
yeah.
It's ridiculous to have a problem with that, but
it's a huge problem. I mean, every automobile that has an iPod connector, every stereo that has an iPod connector can't use it anymore.
$29.
$29
doesn't get you the audio out.
You don't know that, actually.
It should map it through.
According to what I read, it's audio out, analog audio out is supported.
I heard that they're giving an adapter to every purchaser, but I don't know if that's true or not. I just saw that on the internet, and we know how accurate that internet thing is.
Well, I have a Cambridge Audio digital port that directs audio directly in from any iPhone or iPod or iPad device into my system for music production, and it won't work with that. I already know that.
So now you're gonna have to buy a new stereo. And, this is why the ecosystem loves Apple and
files from GarageBand.
I talk to guys who make Mophie cases and stuff like that. The accessory world is lined up outside of Cupertino's door, trying to get their product approved to be in the Apple store. Why? Because Apple sells more shit than any other company combined. The sales per foot in a retail store, an Apple retail store, are way higher than any other retail store in the world. And I talked to the guy who runs Contour, the sports camera. He just got approved. Well, I'm not sure I'm not allowed to say that, but he'll be in the Apple store soon. Too late. But these kinds of companies line up and base their entire marketing strategy around getting in the Apple store for the launch. Because if they're there, they get sales like they have never seen before.
Yeah. So my take on the connector is, it would have been nice if they'd gone with micro USB like everyone else on Earth, but I can understand why they didn't, because they need a certain rigidity for these things to sit upright in the dock, and the micro USB doesn't have the strength to do that. It would snap off. So I can see why they've done that. Plus, they wanted to get the higher speed networking stuff in there with the Thunderbolt. So, which I can see why they've done that, and I don't mind too much them changing the connectors because it's the first time in a long time, whereas the video connectors on the laptops have changed 8 times in that same period, and I've got a drawer full of dongles for those. So, it makes sense to me to finally change that.
Okay.
I agree. It's time for them to do it. It's just that I don't want to do it the first time.
Murray asked an interesting question in the chat room. Why are Apple guys so willing to replace their gear? I don't think it's Apple guys per se. Kevin keeps up to date on the Android side of the fence, and I do too. So does
Why do people buy new cars?
Well, it's deeper than a car. A car I use an hour a day. A phone I use 18 hours a day, and I'm a highly passionate geek. I want to have the best possible tools in my hands. Now, whether that's an Android or an iPhone, I don't care, but I'm going to keep up to date. I'm going to have something close to the bleeding edge in my hands. Now, you can argue I'm a little bit behind by staying with Apple right now. I can say, but we're ahead on the ecosystem. It's a fun argument, but I'm going to keep up to date and in the modern world.
Come on! It's a status symbol.
It's beyond status symbol. If I wanted a status symbol, I could buy a lot of things that have status on them.
Like what?
Like a Coach jacket or something like that. There's other ways to signal the world that you have money.
It's not money. It's cool. It's a Coach jacket is certainly cool, but it's a cool factor.
Why is Apple cool?
I don't know. You're the one that said that it was a Swiss watch or whatever the hell you said.
It feels good in your hand. If I'm going to hold something in my hand, 8 hours a day, like I do with my iPhone, I want the best possible device in my hands. And we can argue about it. I like the Samsung S3 too. I'm really torn, but it feels plastic when you put it next side by side, because people brought the latest phones to the Apple event, and we sat around and compared them. And the new iPhone feels better in your hand. It's like a Leica camera, and if you want the BMW, the Leica, the better designed item,
no one's buying Leicas anymore.
Oh, absolutely, they are.
They are not. They're almost out of business. They're Panasonic's doing everything for Leica now.
Joe Ito has one.
All right, so have we exhausted the incorrect observations about the iPhone 5 yet?
No.
Oh, good. I'm not going to stop talking about it. I haven't said what I think yet, and I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
I know that the minute the call ends, you're going to beg me to buy you one in line.
I'm the only one that has one. It's coming.
Yeah, but you'll probably say, "Well, now I need a second one for my daughter," or something like that. Yeah.
Did you order me one?
I did not. Should I have? I figured that you only like iPads. You don't like iPhones.
Yeah, Ken Shepperson's saying, "Did you see the Jimmy Kimmel video where he showed people an old iPhone and said, what about the iPhone 5? Of course we watched that video. It's funny. It's wrong.
Or how Samsung,
when you see the new iPhone,
the people.
When people realize, when they go into the Verizon store and they're offered an iPhone 4, which looks just like the 4S, for free, it's going to change the market.
Yeah. I don't even care about the low end of the market. I mean, yesterday I was at Facebook and they were talking to me about how many millions of users they have in Africa who are using single chip Nokia phones with small little tiny screens to get on Facebook. That's not my world. I'm a first world guy. I want to be up to the date. You know, I'm an elitist. I like to have the latest, best stuff.
Yeah, but you know, you're not consulting your normal people who actually think that the breadth of the operating system, the entire services package of the iPhone is superior to other platforms, which it is.
But the question is, how far is that true in the services side? You know, the fact that they're swapping out some of the Google stuff and replacing it with their own, the stuff that isn't quite as good, is that going to start becoming obvious to people?
Well, I played with the maps, and the maps have some advantages to Google. They look cooler with the 3D stuff. They don't have as much data yet, and it'll be interesting to see if people pick up on that. For San Francisco, I didn't see a huge difference. I could live with either mapping system. You know, it found Rackspace's office, no problem, and it had lots of detail about the street that Rackspace's office is on. This is where we have to use it and try it in, you know, Fresno.
Try more obscure places, yeah.
Yeah, or, you know.
Because
I assume there's going to be a Google Map app.
I hope so, yeah. Well, one of the things that someone here hacked together was an app. You know, the transit routing thing? It launches external apps. Someone here made an external app that opens up Google Maps and does it on that, which is kind of neat. Because Google Maps in Safari works quite nicely on the new iPhones.
Yeah. Map, you know, YouTube is going to be a weird one because the new iOS 6 it removes the YouTube app, and then you have to download a YouTube app from.
Have you tried that? Have you tried that one yet?
Yeah, it's pretty nice actually.
Okay.
It's pretty nice, but it's quite different. And my kids are all addicted to the YouTube app, so I wonder how they'll get along with that. You know, they'll figure it out. But
yeah.
I like the new app actually, the new YouTube app. Let me see if I can pull it up here. You know.
Wow.
Little slow. HTML5.
Amazing
baby.
turning thingy.
Not HTML5, it's your network.
There we go. It's not my network. It's HTML5.
It's not HTML5.
Right.
Do you want to have that conversation?
Yes, we will,
Yeah,
but not right now.
God, come on.
I was at Facebook yesterday, and they told me exactly why they switched to native, and they said it is slow, and they said if you want to build apps that pre-cache, that do all sorts of fun stuff, and have that smoothness to them, it's native, and that's why they got rid of almost all of their HTML5 and went native with their app. And guess what? Their rating in the App Store went from 2 to 4.5 with one upgrade that's all native, or mostly native. So, yeah, let's talk about that.
It's one upgrade and 200 engineers working on their mobile story that was not a priority for them that made that difference.
That's exactly right.
But also, in order to replace it, it was an enormous amount of effort. Zuck said it took them a year to write it and put it together. That's the other half of it.
That's why they had to go IPO, is to get the money to build the app.
Of course. No, but the point is, when you build stuff in HTML5, you are taking advantage of a lot of the smarts that the browser does. If you write a custom app, yes, you can make it better for your one site, but you're effectively building a browser that's optimized for one particular site. That's effectively what Facebook went and did. It makes sense for them to do that. It doesn't make sense for most people to do that. If you go and write a native app without spending a lot of time thinking about asynchronous fetching and all that stuff, you find you end up writing something that's slower than using a browser, because if you just write something naturally in JavaScript or in Objective-C, it doesn't do asynchronous background loading. It doesn't spawn 5 threads to do loading and fetching. So you will build. It's quite easy to build something that will respond very well on a fast network connection, and then be worse on a slower network connection. There's, don't underestimate the amount of intelligent engineering that's gone into the browsers that run on these devices.
No, but don't underestimate the. We have a cat, a new cat named Charlie, and Charlie is fond of chasing his tail. He's an HTML5 developer.
Nope.
I met with the team that built the Facebook app yesterday, and
Robert, talking to the mic, will you? Thanks.
The team explained why So Facebook has 900 million users around the world, and about 500 million of them on mobile, 400 million of them on mobile. They needed to be able to write their mobile app once that would work everywhere. That's the reach strategy that they've had before. The problem is on modern phones, i.e. iPhone and Android, because they're writing native app for Android as well. That does not let them have the richest experience. And now they are going for reach with all other phones. And on these two platforms, they're going for richness.
Right.
And it makes total sense. The app is way better than it was, in the HTML5 version.
Why do people upgrade to new apps?
That was another interesting stat. More than half of the iOS users on Facebook upgraded within the first 4 days. So people are being trained by Apple to open up that store and upgrade apps because they know that each time they get an upgraded app, the experience on their phone improves. And certainly it improved on this Facebook app. If you don't have the new Facebook app yet, you're really doing yourself a disservice.
On my Android phone, I just check a box and it automatically upgrades all the time.
Yeah, that's a good service, and I'm sure that Apple will, invent that very soon.
They'll let Samsung do it, and there'll be some lawsuit.
Well, to be fair to Apple, their improvements to things like push notification go way beyond what Google does the first time around. Push notification on iOS is vastly superior to the Google push notifications. Oh, of course it is. I mean, I use both constantly, and it's just a matter of fact.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you can't. There's not enough real estate, so you don't. You just see. You see one notification, then you see something that says 78 new notifications.
Well, that's just people using it wrongly, but misdesigning it. If you use it right, if you use it right, you can get very rich notifications on it that have lots of information on there.
I agree. I'd like your new app that you were showing me.
Yeah.
I agree, but
But by default you get crappy ones like that. The Twitter ones in the middle here that are just like as shitty as can be, and that's just Twitter not actually using the API properly.
By default, you get crap. Yes, I agree.
No, it's just a question of how you call the API. It's not by default.
No, it's well, you're the one that said by default.
Until you rewrite your app, you get crap.
No, until there's a difference between a curated environment and a free-for-all environment. It's just it's the same kind of problem with HTML5. By definition, HTML5 is going to trail native apps. By definition.
The other problem, Steve and Kevin, on Android is very, very few of the Android users.
Tashek is shaking his head.
Very, very few of the Android users have the latest Jelly Bean OS. So most Android users don't even have access to the new upgraded notifications and the Google Now functionality. In fact, if you buy a Samsung S3 today in the United States, I don't believe you can put Jelly Bean on it. Can you?
Well, why would you buy it? That's exactly my point. Right, I mean, but everybody seems to think that this is somehow just a coincidence.
2.3 as well. That's the same thing on 2.3. If you look at how Path does it, Path does beautiful notifications on all versions of Android because they care enough to design it properly. But you don't actually have that degree of control on the iOS because all the notifications look the same. You can't inject images into them. You can't do that. Some of the stuff that you can do on Google.
The importance of the Nexus 7 is that it presents a reference implementation that leads in terms of the innovations of the platform. It comes from Google. It is a very important development. It's the only device that I even care about on Android.
Right, and you can do the. Can I do this here? You can do the two-finger drag thing. You see that?
No, I don't. What are you doing?
Okay, it's quite hard to do when I'm facing the other way. I've got a 19 new messages. See there? If I drag down on that with two fingers, it will show the
individual messages.
It'll show the messages inside it.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some.
So you have the Nexus 7 platform, which should be used by other developers to be able to build apps that resonate across, the problem with the Android platform of being fragmented.
Right.
But in general, it's a fragmented environment. It's not controlled. All the negatives that Scoble was talking about the developers at TechCrunch that are telling them that they're building all these cool apps, that's great, but they're all firing at different targets simultaneously, and some of them are in a circle and they're firing at each other.
But that is some people really are attracted to that Wild West approach. There are some really cool new apps coming on Android that let you do stuff that just is impossible to do on Apple, because Apple's closed approach is just not going to let that through.
Well, it was something Zuckerberg said as well. He said that they're interested to do stuff on Android because of all the hooks they can get access to on there.
Yeah, the Facebook team even said one of them is they can do background processing and uploading of photos as you're shooting them. You can't do that on iPhone.
Right.
Unless you pull the app up to the front, and then you're not
iPhone's
shooting
backgrounding
photos.
is very restricted. It only lets you do 3 or 4 defined things. Yeah.
I brought that up a couple weeks ago, and I was shot down.
What was that?
Rigorously, I think.
What did you say?
But somebody said, well, you can do that in iCloud, but no, it's actually happening as you're taking the picture. It's uploading these photos.
If you have the app on
it's a pretty powerful mechanism, and sure, it's a little bit Wild West, and so is the Bazaar versus the Cathedral in the old story. It's just a different platform. iPhone takes the best user experience. Google takes advantage of things that don't exist in the iPhone, and you get the customers benefit.
Yeah, they go back and forth, and they innovate off of each other.
Which gets me to where I was going to say something shocking. I actually love having this conversation, this back and forth between the Android guys and the iPhone guys and the Apple and Google. We haven't mentioned another company yet, other than Google and Apple, on this talk.
What other company is there?
Well, Microsoft's trying to get in the
Who?
world. RIM is trying to remain
RIM, please,
relevant.
please.
Nokia. This has removed the discussion of anything but Apple and Android, and it's again aggregating to 2 companies that are going at it. It's quite fun and interesting, but it really has locked out everybody else. It makes the rest of the market is unsafe to buy. At least if you buy an Android, you're going to be keeping up with a modern up-to-date ecosystem. Microsoft has a deep problem here, and I don't know how Microsoft digs out.
You mean it's not a surface problem? It's a deep problem?
Well, it's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
He's agreeing with you, Robert.
Yeah, I heard that. I appreciate that.
Just the tone, right? You didn't appreciate the tone.
Well, the other thing that was interesting was, you remember Microsoft's native HTML5 marketing weirdness that they did about 6 months ago? They're going to start pushing that strongly when they actually launch their new tablets, because that strong support for an HTML5 based development is one of their marketing points. So I think it's interesting that they're going to be speaking up for standards in those ways, in the way that Apple and Android may be doing less of. It's an interesting reversal for me.
Well, they've been doing that for since Ray Ozzie took over, and
they've been doing a bit of that and getting better at it. But their developer tool chain has been getting better at building standards-based HTML stuff for a while, to the point now where it's a strong selling point for it, and that is a sea change that's been coming through the pipeline. They've been building those tools, but now that they're with the Metro, or what used to be called Metro UX stuff, that is going to be front and center, and they're going to be this is our shiny new thing. So that's going to be an interesting talking point, selling point for them, precisely because they have a large constituency of developers who listen to Microsoft and do what they say. And if the answer is stop using the .NET stuff and start using this HTML5 stuff, that's going to be an interesting thing for the breadth of developers there. We
started this discussion about the phone, but morphed into a little bit about tablets and the Kindle. I've heard a lot of people talking about the Kindle Fire, the new ones, the new suite of them, I guess, as and they're pretty interested in it. Not just the Fire as like a Nexus competitor, but as the paper, what's it called, the Paperwhite, whatever, the regular Kindle. And that's yet another platform that could be successful that also minimizes the chances for a fourth competitor to get in there and take that tablet market on.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that that the logic of the way that they deploy sort of email plus web in the Fire platform, I don't think that it's got a lot of legs.
Well, here's what the one thing that people have said to me was, they have that Audible, which is basically the books on tape in the modern age, and so the new Whisper Sync, I guess, synchronizes where you left off hearing a book to a place that's synchronized where you're reading it. So that's a platform for books, certainly. It's very good in the educational market. It's very good for the readers. It's good for publishers, who are going to publish on not the publishing houses, of course, but publishing on the Kindle platform. It's good that way. It's a different platform. It's an adjunct, but it's a good platform for that.
Yeah, I just think that they're really competing against Apple, and I think they're going to get swarmed by Apple, particularly as Apple moves into TV. I just don't think that they've got a real upside to the competition with Google, other than hurting Google. They're not going to help Microsoft. So
no, and a Kindle,
where are they going to go?
Of course, works on Apple. For now, until they put some money behind iBooks and say Kindle's not allowed or something.
No, they won't.
It works on
that.
Android. It works on their own platform. It works on the web. It works on pretty much everywhere you can.
Yeah, I think
the Kindle itself is its own platform and ecosystem.
I think they've locked out the rest of the market in terms of books, but video, I don't think so. They don't have
video. They just
AirPlay's
announced
missing.
that agreement that basically takes the Netflix advantage away, so that they can get more first-run movies on there.
Yeah,
but they haven't deployed a video to the other
first-run
platforms.
movies.
Has Amazon deployed a video app to any of the other platforms, or is that just on the Kindle?
Amazon's video works on the web. Works on the Kindle.
Right.
It doesn't work on the iPad.
Does it work on all the things I've got on the table here? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I may be wrong. They may have done one, I haven't seen it, but that says something in itself, right?
I agree. I think that they're
actually
missing in action in terms of a video.
Never tried it, but it works on a PC.
It should work on this because it works on their Android device. So there shouldn't be any reason why they couldn't run their app on here. It's just I've never seen it actually happen.
Robert?
I'm reading the chat room, so I've lost a little bit of.
Oh, how's that going for you?
Pretty good. People are talking about books and whether they are going to buy books on iBooks.
Yeah, they're chatting about what we're talking about. That's why I was asking you what you thought about it.
Shocking. They should be talking about politics and Obama and Romney.
Yeah, my son just went to school, and it's funny. My son, I gave him an iPad, and I said, okay, I want you to try to use just the iPad, don't for school. And he's saying it's going really well. He has all of his textbooks from Inkling and others on the iPad, and those textbooks are not yet available on Android tablets. So for him, iPad is a great way to go.
It says it is available on iPad. Okay.
What's that?
Prime says it is available on iPad.
What is?
Amazon Video.
Okay.
I'm sure it is.
Just not on Android. Okay.
Just not on TV.
On the Apple TV.
Well, no, you can do it on the Xbox.
Oh, great.
If you have video on the iPad, you usually have AirPlay, so you can push it over to your Apple TV anyway. So.
That's possibly true if they allow it, which they probably don't.
I don't know. I don't use. I just watched the entire 5 seasons of Breaking Bad in the past 15 days.
Please, no
first four-
spoilers. I'm stuck on the end of season 2.
All right. So the first 4 seasons I watched on Netflix. The 5th season I watched on iTunes. I paid $22 for the final season. I never needed to go anywhere else other than those 2 places. So, and that's true. I'm starting.
I agree.
On Breaking Bad now.
That's the Apple advantage.
Yeah.
It's the major reason why that
So apparently it works on a whole bunch of TV sets, the Amazon stuff. That's the list of TV sets it works on.
Oh, that's really helpful.
It works on my TV.
But not Android devices.
I use it all the time.
It's through GLNA.
Blu-ray players, set-top boxes.
Works on my Blu-ray player that I don't ever use it either.
Some of the Sonys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I just don't.
It might actually work on my Sony if I actually went and found it on the menu, but I can't be asked. Yeah.
I mean, I have this Verizon TV and with smart stuff on it, and I just don't believe, that you're going to use all this web stuff on the TV. It just does not work. It's not the right place for it. The best place for all that interactivity is on a tablet in your laptop, whether it's an Android tablet or an iPad. And then you push stuff over to the TV. The TV I want for the beautiful picture. That's why you buy these 65-inch TVs or 75 or 85 or now I saw 100 and something inch TV. Poking at a little TV with a remote control that's crappily made, even one with a keyboard like this Verizon thing has on it, is just lame ass. It just doesn't work. It's not nice. It's why
Microsoft bought Web TV.
It's a way for the TV manufacturer to try to keep from being commoditized, but it doesn't work. Just buy the best piece of glass you can and put a freaking Apple TV on it or get DLNA device on it, and away you go. Keep everything on the tablet, and
what's
it's a lot better.
LNA? What is that?
It's the AirPlay for everybody else.
DLNA is.
It's really annoying.
It's a great technology that no one can use.
Yeah, well, it's like AirPlay, except because Apple controls all of who is on AirPlay. The experience is nice. It's easy to figure out. The UI is nice, and it works on all the devices it supports, which is just 3 devices,
Right,
I've
and
used
that's
DLNA
why
for a long time for music streaming off a server. It must be at least 6 years now, 5 maybe, I don't know. And it's fine. It works. It's just really hard to set up, and then it just doesn't work on anything else. I mean, it's so hard to set up. I mean, it's supposed to be an open standard, but I don't know if it's unsupported or if it's just a bastardized standard or whatever. It just doesn't work.
How about there's absolutely no economic reason to support it?
No, it's supported. It's just that the standard is really clunky. The problem is the standard is poorly designed, so the process to get it to do anything is involved and has lots of config in it. Whereas AirPlay is well designed, it is like a zero config thing. It can discover things and get you there in one step. This device does DLNA, and it'll try and find my TV and connect to it. But I've never gone through all the way through the 9 dialog boxes that it makes you go through to get there.
By the way, when normal people get together and talk with me, they are starting to notice these ecosystem advantages, that they're smoother, they're easier to use. They can walk into my house and start pushing pictures up to my screen with an iPhone. They start keying in on this, and I think this is why this thing is selling so well. It's the ecosystem argument. It's not just, oh, you have some new feature, or you have NFC or something like that. They don't care about NFC yet. There's not a Starbucks you can buy shit with an NFC phone yet, but they do see that there's this AirPlay thing. They can buy a $100 TV on their TV, and then they can go home and play pictures and video and Spotify. I mean, at Christmas last year when I had a bunch of people over, I was playing all my Christmas music through Spotify, through AirPlay, and I was showing that off, and people are like, "Wow, that is so cool."
Well, the NFC stuff is out there, but I've seen it in quite a few shops. But
have you? I mean, I'm in Half Moon Bay, which is 10 miles from Silicon Valley, and there ain't a shop in town that has NFC yet. Not a single one. And by the way, the one that is cool uses PayPal, and I just type in my password, and say charge it to my PayPal account. And the Apple Store.
Pete's Coffee uses Google Wallet.
Well,
but
the
it's not
Apple
NFC.
Store show.
I think it's coming. It's one of those things they talked about 10 years ago or more.
Starbucks has
maybe
Square.
12 years ago as the upcoming thing, and they had Nokia was one of the leading companies that doing this. So it showed how you could use it with a Coke machine, but it just never emerged, and maybe there's no need for it.
Starbucks has Square, so you walk in with a Square app on your iPhone, and you can pay with Square now. The Home Depot, you pay with PayPal just by typing in your
So
password.
that's a different thing. So Google Wallet, PayPal, and Square, that's what people want. They just want the ability to easily
Apple,
pay, without having to even swipe a card, and then have a centralized place where they can manage that transaction. That's good. NFC is a little different.
Uber and Apple have these apps. If I want one of those $29 connectors because I need another one, I can buy it on my iPhone on the Apple Store, walk into the store, pick it off the shelf, and walk out without talking to anybody. Now, they might stop me at the door and go, hey, prove that you paid for it, and you have to open up your app and show them. But most of the time, I have not been stopped buying something and walking out of the store. I've tried it a few times, and I actually asked an employee how that works. He says, we're actually watching for you because we know you're coming in the store. The phone tells us that you're in the store, and we know you're there. So why do we need to bother you? And they don't. It's a new kind of customer service. Uber's the same way, right? I order a taxi on Uber. It comes and picks me up. I get in the taxi or the car. They take me where I want to go, and I walk out. I don't ever hand any money or credit cards to the driver. It automatically charges me, and I automatically rate the driver on how good he did or not. Anyways, somebody said NFC is contextual. I don't get it. Nobody has come up to me and said, "Man, this is the killer use case for NFC that will add something to the phone." Even the being at TechCrunch Disrupt this week and interviewing 40 companies, I didn't see anybody come up to me and say, "Hey, you gotta get NFC for this use case." It's just a technology that just isn't needed.
It's backwards. What's happening is that Apple will eventually endorse it, and until then, who cares?
I don't even know if they will endorse it because it doesn't have a use case that can't be done other ways. Until somebody tells me
they'll roll it in, it'll be part of whatever their solution is.
What is the use case? And Kevin, can you tell me a use case for NFC other than you could touch a phone together or something? What's the use case?
Well, if you go to Japan and walk in the aisles of a store and you see people sitting there, they're not looking at the shelves, they're looking at their phone. Because the phone's telling them what is there and how much it costs, and if they want it, they press the button.
But
that's NFC.
If you have a product like this, you can take a picture of it, and you do the same thing with Google's image databases.
Yeah, I understand that, but taking a picture of something is already one step removed from I don't care.
Listen, the use cases that make sense are things like transit passes and stuff like that, where you have something you can swipe and have the information on that, and you can
do this with
which
Uber
is what they're doing.
thing.
They're doing it with this phone box or whatever the hell it is that they ship in iOS 6. They're basically aggregating all of these different off-brand ways of doing things. When we go to the movies, Tina has to take the iPad so that we can read the code off of it because it's just a little early. But if we buy on Fandango, as of at least 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's sent as a preference to the iPhone. You just hold the iPhone up to their reader and you're in. It's fantastic.
Murray in the chat room says NFC is needed, for example, when you want to privately transact with a photo kiosk. NFC allows you to bump to connect to your kiosk, not the one right next to it. There's no other way to solve that problem though, and say that you're that you're in this kiosk. You can do that certainly with images and stuff like that.
If Rip Van Winkle woke up,
I don't know that there's not another way to hack around these use cases.
Bumping
you can hack
next
around
to
everything.
Your
It just facilitates it.
That's right.
I mean, The thing is, the discovery of devices is still hard. This is one of the reasons that DLNA is shite compared to AirPlay, is that it's bad at the discovery piece. And it still boggles my mind that these devices, knowing that they're in the same room, is normally mediated by GPS rather than by even knowing they're on the same network, because they may not be on the same network. So the point of NFC is it gives you a concrete way of saying these are the same two devices. So that the idea of bump was, oh, you can do that, except the bump was faking it by deciding that two devices through some other technique had touch each other. That's one of the use cases that actually works quite well. Moo cards, they can now print an NFC card into the Moo card, so you can tap the card and it reads it directly. Yeah, you can photograph it and OCR it and do it the web service, but it's a shortcut for doing some of this stuff. But the problem is, as you say, it needs to be fairly pervasive for us to have the use cases.
So this kind of gives me an opening to say what I really think about all this, which is that Apple's releases are a combination of what features they ship and what features they do not ship. Part of the value proposition of what Apple provides is market guidance and using market force to change the marketplace. And iPhone 5 is a huge step in that direction because it prepares the ground for the smaller iPad tablet, which is going to be a huge device. It allows it to be able to use all of the innovations that they're having to jam down our throats right now with the connector and all that kind of stuff. And as they pointed out, or at least Phil Schiller pointed out in some interview, most of the connector issues are moot because they're doing everything over the air now except charging. And, there's an example, these wireless chargers. You still got to plug the wireless charger into the wall. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Okay. So
the other thing, Steve, is you need to know how Apple thinks and works, and Apple needs very high margins, and so they're going to not put in technologies that cost money. And I bet that's why NFC got left out. It probably cost, I don't know, $3, $5 per device for the licensing and putting the chip in. And they just said, "Hey, we don't have the margin to."
I just think
they can't monetize it.
They're leaving. Yeah, that's right. They're leaving it. Let Samsung try and make money with it. They're not going to make money with it.
And Samsung will in Korea. I mean, where it's
exactly where it's built out.
Yeah. And then they'll provide some use cases, and then 10 years later, come to America.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm starting to see them in certain places. I've seen them, I'm here in Portland. I've seen them here. I see them in San Jose. We're starting to see these tap to pay things being installed as some places upgrade them, but it takes a while to replace, as you say.
All right, so let's search around for some stragglers here. How was TechCrunch Disrupt? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, Robert.
It was very good. I saw several companies that were interesting, that are doing fun stuff. There's a few trends that I noticed that were different than previous years. One, there's a lot more international startups. I mean, Korea had a pavilion, Israel, Argentina had some companies there, Denmark had some companies there, and there were a few other. Brazil had some companies there. So there's a trend around the world where startups are now popping up everywhere. And not just in San Francisco. And we've seen that trend for a few years, but this is really in your face that there's something worldwide happening with startups. There's a whole hardware trend because of Kickstarter. And I forget the company name, but this guy made these little guns that you put your iPhone on the back of the gun, and it has a laser, and you go around and shoot, and on your iPhone it plays a little game, and it shows when you're getting shot too. Little bullet holes show up on your iPhone.
It's a game for normal Republicans, I think.
Yeah, it's $59 for these guns.
It's an oxymoron.
And he self-funded he built the first prototypes with $100,000 of his own money, and then took those to Kickstarter and got a couple $1 million, and now is going into production with them, and they'll be out in, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. This is a new world where you can build hardware for fairly low money, and get something new on the markets. He also had a stylus that was pressure sensitive for the iPad, which worked pretty well. And it's really both systems. The way that these things talk to the Apple devices is through sound. So in fact, I have the stylus is downstairs, but as you're pressing on the stylus, it's putting sound into the air that you can't hear. So sub-audible sound.
But the dog can, right?
But the dog can, but the microphone can hear it, and therefore that's how he adds the pressure sensitivity on the pen. And it works really well. And on the guns, as you're pulling the trigger, it's shooting off a little bit of inaudible sound that the microphone picks up, and so it knows that you're shooting the trigger. Really ingenious, so that he didn't have to add really expensive Wi-Fi chips or Bluetooth chips in there to do wireless or something like that. And that's why you can build this kind of thing for $59.
John Toshek,
pretty cool.
You know that the gymnast in the Olympics, this one, whatever she did, you were doing that.
Yeah, Michaela.
Yeah.
Not.
Why were you doing a Michaela when Robert was speaking? I didn't get that.
No, it's fun. Robert was excited about it. It's a gun.
Okay.
Well, we'll get together at Salesforce some year, and we'll have a shootout.
We'll have a paintball or
all the
Kickstarter
developers of the Dreamforce app are firing these things all over the place.
And the other trend that I saw was the contextual app. There was this new app called MindMeld for the iPad that listens in on your conversations with people and pulls stuff up on the iPad as you talk about it. So if I say Microsoft, all of a sudden the Microsoft homepage will pop up. It's pretty mind-blowing. This is
it creepy factor?
Way creepy, way over the creepy line. I'm looking for apps.
I'm looking for the editorial version, where when they talk about Microsoft, there's like a picture of an empty bowling alley.
Yeah, that would be funny. Well, it would be funny.
It's VH1 pop-up videos for the modern crowd.
It would be funny if if you said, "Oh, I'm thinking of buying a Windows 8 computer," and then it pops up, "You're an idiot,"
Yeah.
Google does that now. If you just say Windows 8 is a, and then the look ahead will answer it for you. The top 5 things. I don't know what it says. I'm going to do it right now, though.
Well, the other thing about that I noticed about the TechCrunch conference was that it seems
disaster.
That Mike Arrington's back in charge there. I thought that was great.
Yeah, he did a lot of.
Well, he was doing the interviews because he's so good at it.
I speak because I know what I'm talking about. So. No, I thought that and what was really interesting was the way that mainstream media was just channeling those conversations between Mark Benioff and Arrington, between Zuckerberg and Arrington, between, et cetera. It really showed that after the smoke is cleared, that TechCrunch has regained its footing in terms of being the authoritative node that it's always been since Arrington started it.
Well, that was actually another cool company I saw at TechCrunch Disrupt, was this company called Snappy TV. And the TechCrunch crew, as it was live streaming, was using Snappy TV to pull clips out of the live TV and tweet those in real time. And that's a new thing that I saw that was really cool. I'm going to use this in my live streaming studio.
Wait, I like this. What is it? Tell me more about this.
So
this
as you're publishing video to Ustream, like what we're doing right now, somebody could be listening to our conversation, and as we say interesting things, they could cut that clip out in live time and tweet it. And so TechCrunch TV, cool. the Twitter account for TechCrunch TV, was tweeting interesting things that Zuckerberg was saying within about 30 seconds after he said them. And that was
Can you do it on an uploaded video that's already on YouTube? Can you do it while you're recording something on an iPad? Really how do you do it?
It's really optimized for live TV streams, but you could use it for YouTube. But you can already do that for YouTube. I mean, if you're really knowledgeable about how YouTube works, you can already add a little bit of URL to the URL to point.
Ampersand to equals, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't used to work. It now does work.
It works really well. But on a recorded video, you can do that really easily. It's the fact that you could do it in live time now. That is really cool. And it was TechCrunch was just using it up. And I was watching it in the hallway there and watching the Twitter stream and retweeting the tweets as they came in just seconds after Mark Zuckerberg said something really interesting. And by the way, your boss, Benioff, I was watching this stream the same way. And he said something interesting.
Benioff was very good. He leaked a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, Benioff announced sort of what's coming at this week's Dreamforce. He announced that Salesforce is working on a Box competitor, and I heard Aaron Levy, who runs Box, didn't know that Salesforce was working on a Box competitor, and he said that was
a Dropbox competitor.
It's Chatterbox.
I thought it was a Box.net and a Dropbox competitor. Well, you guys can you clarify what Benioff is talking about?
Sure, if I want to get fired.
Yeah, he's allowed to leak it. We aren't, so you get to hear what he said.
Wednesday.
Well,
live.
Yeah, we got this little
the
conference.
TV.
Yeah, how many people were at TechCrunch?
3,000.
Yeah.
2,000, something like that.
We're going to have 70,000.
Yeah. How am I going to get around San Francisco this week?
Just don't go on Howard.
Yeah. Or City Hall.
So we're going to do... Steve, are we still doing the show? Because
God willing.
God willing? Okay.
So
Wednesday, maybe.
Dreamforce is now bigger than Burning Man. That's kind of scary.
And... oh, yeah. 70.
It is Enterprise Burning Man. Dreamforce is Enterprise Burning Man.
Really?
That'll be impressive.
An interesting analogy, actually.
It would be impressive if the signs actually said that. Welcome to the Enterprise Burning Man.
Yeah.
Well,
Who's playing the concert, by the way, next week?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, baby.
Is the headliner. There's 10 other bands, too.
Well, there's a bunch of other bands playing on Howard, in the grass over bit of Howard, right? There's an open air rock concert going on there all week.
Crazy.
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, 70,000 people. It's going to be it's amazing.
And then we get in line for our iPhones and our wine tasting party on University Avenue, which I'm sure I'm
going to get online, sitting in my chair waiting for the front door to ring.
Oh, you'll come by and say hi.
Well, if you're going to be out there all night, yeah, sure.
Yeah. We'll have hot dogs at 1 a.m. again.
We'll have Bill Atkinson. We can talk about Supercard again.
Yeah.
It'll be just like, we'll fly Mark Cantor in from Ohio to talk about,
We'll see.
It'll be good. It'll be good times. Maybe we can make an
I'm doing
unconference out of it.
It'll be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun.
All right. So once around the table, and let's call this one on account of happiness. Starting with you, Robert.
It's a new, boring Apple for the moment, but it still is thinner, lighter, sharper, more connected, and it has better apps than Android.
So in other words, it's better than anything, and you're bored by that.
Yeah, because we want to be see something mind blowing. Google is bringing out these Google Glasses next year, and that's got my early adopter angst going a lot more than this new iPhone does.
Okay, I don't know what Kevin's trying to do, but we're going to cut to him now anyway.
I'm trying to NFC beam this Scobel between my two Androids.
All right, we could have done that 3 years ago with this app called Bump.
Just as soon as you can shave your fingertips down in order to be able to run that thing.
Bump is why I'm so skeptical about this.
Yeah.
Not a single. I'm the world's #1 networker at all these conferences. Not a single. Well, 3 people in 3 years have asked me to Bump with their app. There is no.
Yeah, but if you look at the consumer world, which is intersecting, Tamagotchi was really popular for a year or so. And Tamagotchi, showed your interests, but through flashing lights just by proximity.
And you can do that with a speaker now. So I don't get why we need.
You can actually do that by talking to a person also.
Yes, exactly. Well, I did get this to work, but it was fairly painful. So.
Well, we're not all writing books about it. Oh, wait a minute. Some of us are. Okay, so that was your wrap-up, Kevin?
My wrap-up was the, the HTML5's not dead yet wrap-up, which was seeing the response to that, to Zuckerberg throwing it under the bus, and then the rest of the Facebook guys going to various journalists, no, actually, we're still working on this. We're not trying to destroy the world. So.
Okay, so in other words, Zuckerberg's wrong and they're right.
Zuckerberg's right for him, but he's not right for everyone else.
Remember those Bill Gates Think Weeks? Where the whole company decided what they were going to do, and then Bill said, nah, I don't think so. Okay. John Toshek.
Well, no one really talked about the Nintendo Wii TV.
Yeah,
I mean,
that actually
really
sounds
exciting.
kind of interesting, as long as you have, $200 extra, more than an Apple TV to get the same functionality.
No, I don't understand what the Wii TV is actually.
It's
just
according
by
to
surveying kids who are 12 and under, none of them are interested in TV at all. They're
Right.
just not even. They don't even want to see anything on the big screen. To me,
yeah, that's why my
and
daughter
that's
keeps taking my chair and sitting on watching the, bogarting the big screen TV.
It's just it's a weird thing. Like you want to have a movie night with a family, and the kids don't want to even be involved with the television at all. They think of it as a passive device, and they want to be more engaged. But that's not my wrap up. My wrap up is I'm in heads down on Dreamforce, which is next week. I don't want to plug it, but I can't help it because that's all I've been immersed in the last couple weeks, and it's gonna be great for the San Francisco economy. And it's it's going to be fantastic, and we won't sleep all next week, and we'll make sure Scoble doesn't sleep, and he bumps his way around too.
Yeah, you can come and bump into me at the iPhone line.
Okay. Well, Kevin's battery has now officially died. It must be that he's on one of those Android devices that, has no control over a battery.
This is called a Macintosh that he was on.
Okay. Well, I'll see it my way. You see it your way.
Well, I was just reading the chat stream, so
I see. Okay. Well, this has been fun, and I want to thank Rackspace, and particularly Rob Legess, without which the show would not be on the air. I want to thank NewTek and the TriCaster for making it a video show. I want to thank Kevin Marks, who is in Portland. I want to thank Robert Scoble, who's in Half Moon Bay. I want to thank John Toshek, who's in an undisclosed location. And I want to thank our producer and director, Tina Chase Gillmor. And we'll see you again next time, I hope. Bye-bye.